Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Seems that we have some serious speed on the team, backed up by some numbers from, I guess, the guys wear those things that, you know, track how fast they're running. And so they released the top 20. But before I get to that, I want to piggyback off of something I said on a previous video in terms of Miami in the Big Ten as it refers to NIL. I was thinking small because I said billboards, but I forgot the fact that these players can be on commercials. So just imagine, again, using the same example of Cam Kitchens being on a commercial in New York, Chicago, LA, and Miami all at the same time versus, again, just being on commercials in Alabama, you know, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, just being in places where they have small media coverages, right? And those type of commercials, because I live in Mississippi, so the interesting thing about that is that we have some channels that show Chicago content. So even without being in the SEC, there still could be a presence of a player if the NIL, you know, is prevalent, where a person or a player could be on a commercial that airs in the Southeast and Eastern Conference, even though they're playing in the Big Ten Conference, right? So there's just something else to think about in terms of the NIL. Right, so moving on. As you can see by the thumbnail, I didn't include all 20, I just kept the top 10. So what I noticed, the first thing I noticed about that top 10, 7 out of those 10 guys play on the defensive side of the ball. And that is exciting. It's exciting for the simple fact that for the last couple of years, we as fans have been broken, just broken in terms of watching offensive guys from other teams simply just run past our guys, right? I still remember, I can't remember what year it was. I don't know if it was 14 or 13, but I still have visions of Logan Thomas running a quarterback draw right down the heart of our defense. It was like 60 or 70 some odd yards. And obviously, you know, more recently, we saw Middle Tennessee State just go bombs over Baghdad. If anyone's sensitive, don't get sensitive about that. But we saw it, and there's just a myriad of other examples of that. The last time I felt like, from just a speed and not just an overall team speed, was I remember Dalvin Cook broke around the left side, and I don't know about the rest of y'all. I said, man, Dalvin Cook about to score. And Corn Elder came from the opposite side of the field, got a good angle on Dalvin, tracked him down. So we haven't had one of those type of plays just, you know, in a while, where we saw a guy that just broke and we have one of our guys that just come trail him down. You know what I mean? So that's good that 7 out of the top 10 guys are or at least in certain drills tested the fastest, because I had the same kind of thought, because Flo elaborated it on his show, and where he was just saying this doesn't necessarily mean these are the fastest guys. This is more so of just a measurement of how fast guys were. And he was saying that the guys are actually going to probably race at a later point this year. So that'll be more intriguing if someone can get that premium content to see who actually won a race. Because some of the names at the top, because for the longest time, many people said Malik Curtis was the fastest person on the team. Malik Curtis was, I believe he was in the top 10, but he wasn't in the top 5. Everyone is looking at Bobby Washington being number 3, Ja'Carri Brown being number 2, and Jaden Harris, which people have said Jaden Harris is fast. He was number 1. Marquise Williams being fast. Obviously, we can look at that and say we know he's probably faster than James as well as Cam, but can he play, can that speed transfer over to the game? Because if you can play that fast and you are that fast, then we're talking about a freak athlete, you know what I mean, in many regards. I was just looking at something for comparison's sake. I looked at what some of the fastest guys in the NFL tested or ran this past offseason, which again is interesting because it's widely considered Tyreek Hill is the fastest player in the NFL. However, according to NFL Next Gen statistics, Tyreek Hill did not register the fastest mile per hour last year. That designation went to Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell was noted as running 22.11 miles per hour, which is 0.2, seconds or mile per hour slower than what Jaden Harris ran, because Jaden Harris was at 22.13. So again, if this type of speed can transfer to the field with pads on, if it can transfer on the field with pads on, then this is gonna be good for the defense, because that's something that we sorely need, and not just even on the defense, but just on special teams, right? Obviously, we have a new punter coming in, so it'll be nice that maybe if it's a situation where he doesn't kick the ball the way that it needs to be kicked, we can mitigate a back-breaking return by having some guys that are just fast getting down the field. So you got a situation where you can have a Jaden Harris as a gunner. You can have a situation where maybe you have a Bobby Washington as a gunner, just depending on how he takes the weight, or if he does pick up weight, right? So we all have our fingers crossed that Bobby Washington can pick up another 10, 15 pounds and keep that same particular speed. I know a lot of guys are, in the fan base are very, very excited about the potential that he brings to the field. He has that attitude, that old school Kane, attitude of, look, I don't care. I'm here to do what I got to do, right? Excuse me. So that'll be interesting. But like I said, that premium content of who actually wins the race is going to be very, very interesting, because that's the type of competition that we need, right? That's the type of competition that we need. I still remember back when I was in high school, listening to stories about, I think it was a story one time, and this is not Canes related, but this is just interesting because who's the fastest person is kind of one of those things where it's like, well, who's the strongest? Who can lift 225 the most, or who can squat the most? It's kind of one of those things, right? And we as fans, we love it. So it kind of reminds me of that time I heard that story about, I know it was Noel Devine, and I don't know if it was Jeff Demps or Chris Rainey, but it was like they set up a race at a Walmart parking lot, right? And then remembering the story of Clinton Portis telling about Javon Curse and Fred Taylor stopping traffic in Gainesville. And I'm sure the Canes fans we're Canes fans. I'm not trying to exclude myself, but that's kind of funny. But I can't really laugh because I'm from a small town. But somebody saying that two guys can literally stop the traffic in Gainesville, and I'm sure people are saying, well, it's not that big anyway, so it doesn't take much to stop traffic. But just hearing a story about those two guys stopping traffic and getting out in the middle of the road and racing Javon Curse and Fred Taylor. So those type of stories and stuff like that are just things that, regardless of what fan base you're in, whatever you subscribe to, those are just things that you want to hear. So I'll be interested whenever these guys do lace them up and race. We're in the social media age right now, so somebody should be able to record this, and we should be able to see this, right? So obviously, of course, based on this, Jaden Harris, Ja'Cory Brown, and Bobby Washington are the three fastest according to this. But it'd be very interesting to see when money is on the line, because pretty much the majority of these guys got NIL money. So hey, let's put some money down, right? But as always, man, like, share, subscribe, comment, and it is always about the you.